All right, it is Wednesday, April 28th, AK47 over at Deckmar Trades via Tradecaster.com. Josh Smith official, Prime Trading here on Instagram, and it has still been a little bit slower, but just got to get you some alerts. I just want to show you what I do over in chat and what it's all about, even when I just pop in for a few minutes so you can see some of the alerts that, you could be getting in chat, one thing. Secondly, the chats that we are getting all day long because the chat is full of great alerts. But let's just get into it. So BTX, I had to get in real quick. Deck hit me up. He had to run to the bank, get some stuff done. So I immediately come in. And the first thing I notice is obviously because BTX, one of the top plays we're looking at today, it's up 67%, especially a play from $22 up to $42 now. So I'm like, hey, it's in its third channel. Earlier, watch for a pop over 40. Essentially, we had that $40 resistance area close to it. And then, support around that $35 area. Just generic channel that we're in. Of course, eventually then mention the trend line. But another play I do want to get in real quick before I do forget is UXIN, and the alert I gave on the trend line bounce. And so I'm just going to show you real quick how quick it is that I go in here and I'll put my trend line in. I got to get in real quick, get some alerts off for deck. So I'm trying to figure out where this trend line in is here. So this was just now when I'm putting it in. So let's go back to drawings, this, that. And let's fix this a little bit. And let's look right at the base of it. We're going to have this little dip below, but hit, boom, hit, right? Okay, so it's perfect trend line to me. Somewhere right around in this area. Maybe you could actually go down a tad bit around this area, wherever you want. But you can see at the time that I alert this at 12:36. So at 12:36 when I alert this, right around in here, and you can see at the time it was, the trend line right here. Also trend line around 270. Whammy, right around 270 when I alert this, where it's 36 after. You know what I mean? If you drop straight down, 270 essentially is the perfect trend line bounce. And then eventually when we get to the UXIN, because I didn't notice it for a minute, a few minutes later, still at 48 after, because we hadn't gotten there yet. I'm still saying it's around that 270 area, still about 270. And then eventually we get a perfect bounce on it. And I didn't catch it till 59 after. So about 10-minute increment, if I can talk here, increments here. And then about 10 minutes later, I notice it right around this area. Hits once, hits twice on that trend line, and now has moved up to new high of day. Put your trend lines in. Beautiful bounces. I know at first they may not seem like a huge bounce, right? Sometimes they don't explode right off the trend line, but look what happens. Over time, if you would have got in at the trend line bounce, which, of course, moves up. So now it's about 275 area. You get in about 275. Look at that. You're up 30 plus cents right now. Beautiful trade right there. And we did get one person to take it actually in chat, which was great. So let's get back to BTX and what I'm alerting over on BTX. And you get these alerts off from my members in chat. And again, crack of the 34, and here we go. And someone was asking about it and why I said there would be maybe. And first I said, crack of the 35 area support back at the 34.3 area. And the 34.3 area almost got touched. It hit like 34.45, 34, almost 5, somewhere in that area. And here's why. This little consolidation before we broke out earlier, right at that area, that's what I saw and thinking it could bounce. It ended up kind of hitting between that and this lower shadow right there. Now, some more future alerts. I said if it cracks the trend line, I said it has the old trend line as resistance now. Of course, that's when it cracked because it cracked below. See, now we're testing. We're going back down here. And that's why when, eventually I'm alerting this play right here. Essentially the crack of 35, 1251, where are we at? 1251, crack of 35 support. Where's the 1251 at? 1251. It's like right when it happened. So we're cracked right here. So we had cracked the trend line, right? So we're cracking the trend line, going back, going to hold, trying to hold 35 support if we crack, the trend line. Right around that same time, right after it happens, and you can see why. Here's why we're going to, because 35, every $5, once you move around, move up above $15 to $20, every $5 becomes a real significant resistance line instead of really every dollar. So you got $35, but look how many times you've kind of bounced off of it after it was resistance earlier, then became some solid support. So that's why it was trying to bounce and did get a good bounce off of it. The low there was $35.12 and it bounced all the way back up, almost to $36. Then, of course, my next alert after that, crack of $35 because you can tell 35 is going to hold 34.3 area. And that's where I was just showing you where I like that. It didn't quite hit it, but it did get a pretty nice good bounce. Over $1 bounce from there. Then the 35 area cracks. Where was it right here? That was so close to the 34.3 area. And then again, that's why when someone was asked about it, crack of the 34.5 area because that was really more 34.5 that was holding. Watch for a $33 bounce. And I was like, you know what? I corrected myself about 2 minutes later, and I said, you know what? It may see a bit of support at the 33.5 to 33.7 area once the 34.5 area cracks. And here's why. You see this little lower shadow right there at 34, the low of this candle right there is 33.72. 33.72 is the low right there. Then you have this little, like the close of this candle where it popped all the way up was around the 34.5 area. So like, I doubt it gets all the way down to this. So I'm thinking and look where it hits. Look where this lower shadow hits when it finally cracks. When it finally cracks the 34.5 area, look at the low. The low was 33.71. Here's your L's. Here's your L. 33.71. I was 1 penny off. And here's why. I went right over to this candle, 33.72. So it actually hit exactly where it should have at the maximum in. You know, if the bounce was going to come down, that's the highest it would have been. Could have come down a little bit further, yes. But that's where it could have, you know, at the top area for your top fills to get in. And it hit it perfectly. Perfectly, it hit that area. You know, and again, once we finally get to it, there was that dip, hit that upper part of the alert right there to a T. Now back to where I'm thinking about maybe trading this. And of course, got my trend lines in, has to push over. And here's where because people are talking about it. It has to push over this old trend line up, you know, building what? A flag wedge under the old trend line. Still fighting trend line resistance over 37.2 is the area. And that's where it failed the first time. Here's where 37.2 couldn't pop over 37.2, just could not pop over that area. There was your fill. And that's where I said trend line fill there. 32.7 or 37.2 was the key area. And then right before I could even blink and went back over to it, whammy, look at the beautiful, and again, I'll just do this so you can. You knock everything else off the rest of the day. What do you have here? A beautiful pennant flag, essentially. Beautiful flag wedge, right? And so that's what traders are seeing. And if we can just pop above this trend line up, we're going to go. And then my next main alert is over 38, over $38, next leg up to high of day area. And that was at 26 after. Right here in this candle, where I'm going, if we can pop over $38, you see all this, I'm thinking we can get a pop up to about 38.6, up to 39-ish, maybe even a 39 touch plus. And what do we get? And I was in and out. I mean, I was in and out of that trade. Here you go. That's why I just had enough time to say, here you go, because it was happening. I already pressed enter, and it was happening. Because it just, look at that. In one candle, this is a 1 minute time frame, too. So look at that. In 1 minute, we go from 37.76, we pop over 38, and we were hovering at 38. Really hitting these resistance candles for a second, for just a split second, and then just kind of skirted and took off right up to 39 plus, all the way up to 40, and this is where I scaled out. Got in at a bad entry, probably right around the 38.5-ish, 38.4, I forgot what it was, because it kind of was hesitating for a minute. I'm like, watch this fell back over. But nope, kept going. I just went ahead and triggered on in, and then it just shot straight up to almost $40. Then shot up over $40, and here we are on this crazy extended trend line now, and that's all I would do. So there's my beautiful alerts from chat, in and out. And now what am I doing? I'm going right over here to my drawings. I'm getting my drawings, drawing tools, go to my trend lines, and I've got a trend line to set in right here. And look at this trend line. Look at that. And we know this is going to get tested. We know this isn't going to hold. So we're going to put the trend line in there, and we're going to watch for that. And on the crack of that, it's a beautiful short opportunity or a good bounce for people trying to go long right here. You got it, and don't go too big. You're only kind of scaling in because this could crack off hard for the trend line crack. But this is your true trend line bounce. But there you go. That's essentially what I'm doing. Pop in a chat out of nowhere. Haven't been in chat in a few hours because I've been busy today. Then I pop in, immediately giving great alerts. One great buy on UXIN, really ended up becoming two trend line bounces up to new high of day. And then, 2 or 3 great ones on BTX, all in a matter of 20, 30 minutes. And that's all it takes. You just get in, you read your charts. You're like a doctor. You're like, oh, cool. Well, let me see your chart there, BTX. Oh, okay, Mr. BTX. Let's see how you're doing today. And that's it. You're just a doctor reading what you have set in front of you. AK47 over at Deckmar Trades via Tradecaster.com. Don't forget, I go live every Friday for the man, Sean Deckmar. Josh Smith Official Prime Trading here on Instagram. All right, let's get into it. Back-to-back days here. Same video. Thursday, April 29th. It's the morning here. The next day. Look at the beautiful trend line crack. Now, we all know if you're in chat, maybe you're not in chat, you just watch my recaps, but if you're over in chat, you know what I love if I'm going to short. I have pretty much one beautiful technique that I have mastered, and if you got a trend line here and it cracks, you short it. Trend line cracks are my favorite go-to shorts. They're just beautiful. You have to be patient some of the time. Sometimes they don't crack off right away, but as you see, when this cracks off at 230, we're now down here at 205. Now, of course, it's taken some time to get down here, but again, a beautiful trend line crack. I love them. And here, let's get to some of my alerts in chat. Let's scroll back a little bit here. Right around when I first start noticing it, hits the new high of day here at 34 after, so we're almost there. So at 34 after, boom, we hit a new high of day. Now we get this immediate pullback, and then that's when I start noticing it here. And of course, at 234.2 as well, I'm saying, hey, watch for a push to 2.5 area now. I got very close to 2.5, didn't quite get there. Then I immediately noticed at 37 after. It took me a second. I don't know why I didn't notice it right away, but right here, I noticed it on this candle. I was like, whoa. We're on a trend line here. And then literally MT, I was like on a trend line right now, going to short at trend line crack, back to VWAP 3,000 shares. I got all these in real quick, boom, and I immediately pulled the trigger, and then I took a screenshot to show everyone in chat, as you can see, the trend line that was forming right there. So that is exactly what I noticed at 37 after, when it kind of pulled back, and then right here I'm like, whoa, we're on a trend line here. Look at that beautiful trend line we're on. If that cracks, I know we'll go back to the VWAP 3,000 shares. That's $300. I'm taking it, done, over with, right? So look at this. And then, of course, people are wondering where the bounces are going to be. And then as this continues to crack off more. Now, at first, as you can see, because Trade Life, was wondering where I got in at. And, of course, I got out half of my shares right here. Around the 223, I saw this was not budging down. It's like, this is just not, it wasn't doing it here. I was hoping, okay, just give it some time. Give it right here. I'm like, okay, I'm taking some at 223. So I took half off at 223. Now, my stop loss, as you could tell, I told them was around 235-ish, that area right there where the trend line was at the time. This was at 45 after. So 45 after, my stop loss was right around the trend line up, because I know if it spikes through that, it's easy back up to high day most likely. And I don't want to be, you get my point, just don't want to be squeezed. So holding on tightly. And then, yes, baby. Oh, yes. Beautifully at 49 after, as you can see me alerting, and I didn't notice it right away, but boom, I'm alerting at 49 after. Back to the VWAP. This is when it was kind of hesitating on it. And then boom, ow, bang, hit VWAP finally, and may crack a bit more, as it does. 500 shares left when it cracked when it was cracking the VWAP. And then as soon as it cracked, I took 250, and then finally took my 250 a little bit more. So right here, so the 250, I didn't take it. I waited for the VWAP to crack. You know what? I messed up here, so I'm not going to take you here. I'm waiting for you to get down to my 215 that I, was kind of calling for a bounce area. It really went all the way down to 210. So boom, baby, right here in this 215 area, and I took 250 more of the 500 I had left. At that time, I guess I did take some off of the VWAP. I guess I did. I guess I did. Sorry. So, sometimes when I go back to do these, I'm like, what did I take some off? I guess I did. It's been like 20, 30 minutes now. I'm so pumped about it. But so I did take, obviously right here, took another 1,000 shares off. So then I was out 2,500 shares, right? Makes sense. I do remember that now. Ding, ding, ding. Come on, AK. So right here, I took another 1,000 shares off. So I was down to 500 shares in this area. Took 500 off more in here, and 500 off right here. Well, right here, the 210 areas you can see. Where are we at here? Still taking 500. Let's see. Where's my last 500? Here we go. Let's go. Here we go. We'll take finally. It's 54 after. I took as long as I could. And there, right here in this area. And then it finally, of course, cracked. There was that big red candle I was hoping to get. Right in this area when it was finally dipping below 210, I was out around 208, I think, was the last exit. But then, of course, just like I knew, if I just would have held a bit longer, and I want to start getting to that where I hold a bit longer, but still, look right here. My very first alert, and back when it was, right here when I first started noticing it. And that's why you see people saying, hey, bringing up the AK stuff. You see, did create head and shoulders, but the trend line, where were the other people saying missed his alert right there? Even saw, so the people seeing it afterward. But again, my original alert at 2:30, let's go back to 37 after 9:37 when I first saw it. I'm like, whoa, we're on a trend line here. Going to short trend line. I had more people, if went back and chat, you would see other people notice it and give me some kudos. But I noticed it. Whoa, immediately. It took a second. And especially right here, it was really starting to form the trend line. And I'm like, hey, maybe if it bounces, that's fine. But I'm just letting everyone know, hey, on the trend line now, here's a trend line on now, going to short at the trend line crack. So when this cracks, I'm going to short. Whenever that is, I don't know when that's going to be. The further up would have been better because I would have gotten more range on it back to the VWAP. But I know, hey, it's slower. I'll take the $300, 3,000 shares, 10 cents. End up being more than that in the end. So again, just take your trades when they come to you. And I just waited right here, alerted at 9:37, and whammy, got exactly what I wanted there. So wait for your trades to come to you. Sometimes they take a little bit of time, especially on these trend line cracks, but I can't speak enough. Look at the trend line, beautiful trend line. Look at the crack. You're in at 230. Even if you're in it, I think if someone was in chat, they were in at 225. They didn't get the best entry. I forgot who it was. Look at that. Money, baby. Money. AK47 over at DeckMarTrades via Tradecaster.com. Josh Smith Official. Prime Trading here on Instagram. And, of course, join me live. And, of course, over on YouTube. But join me live tomorrow. That's right. Every Friday, I'll go live for the man, Sean Deckmar. So join me live tomorrow. We'll see you all then.